Hi guys, how's everyone doing? I hope you're having a good day as best as possible, anyways. So today we're here with more sad news. There has been a school shooting in Texas, and it's just another one like we seem to have all the time these days. It's not an uncommon thing, right? Um, so we'll talk about that, and I want to have a conversation with you guys, a non-judgmental conversation, a conversation where we can all be honest and talk about um, our opinions on this, and what our idea as an individual, uh, what we think contributes to this. If you guys hear a kitten in the back, please let me know. I got home today and there was a kitten in my garage. Um, it's a wee little thing, and I had my garage door open the other day, and I think a mother kitty put it in my garage. And then we are going to be talking about a mother out of Minnesota who is accused of shooting her 6-year-old several times and then leaving the child's body in a trunk. And then there's a Kentucky woman who pleads guilty to putting her newborn baby in a trash bag and tossing the child over the banister. Um, just absolutely terrible things. Um, so yeah. Um, it's you know, you don't know if we are going to send our kids to school, um, or if we're going to go to the grocery store and come back nowadays. Life is, very unpredictable, and we don't know people's mindsets that are out there. And, it's there's a lot of mental health issues. And we'll get into that. But I do want to show you guys what is going on. And it is terrible. So far, we know of 15 that is dead. This is brought to you by KSAT. 15 killed in school at, I forgot how to pronounce it, Uvalde.
At Uvalde.
Uvalde. I know it was with an E. Uvalde Elementary School. Gunman dead, Governor Abbott says. 10-year-old girl, 66-year-old woman in critical condition at University Hospital in San Antonio. San Antonio is a wonderful hospital, wonderful city as well. My family lives right outside of San Antonio, and at least half of my family, and just praying for absolutely all involved, the officers, um, the first responders, of course, the children and the staff there. Um, but yeah, let's take a look at this. And this is a press conference that's coming out. It's not one. Bear with me. And my thing's not wanting to fast forward. Hold on. I've got another one I can pull up here if this one's not going to work. We'll come back to this one. We'll come back to this one. We have another one that we can, and yes.
Good afternoon. I'm Anne Marie Espinoza, Executive Director of Communications and Marketing for Uvalde CISD. Please understand at this time, we will be making a statement and not taking any questions. So we please ask, at this time, we will be making a statement and not taking any questions. Here to provide a statement is our Uvalde CISD Chief of Police, Pete Arredondo.
Good afternoon. As she mentioned, I'm going to make a statement, and at this point, we won't take any questions. We will give you a time. We will be addressing the media soon. At approximately 11:32 a.m. this morning, there was a mass casualty incident at Robb Elementary School in Uvalde, Texas. This school has children that are in second, third, and fourth grade. I can confirm right now that we have several injuries, adults and students, and we do have some deaths. The suspect is deceased at this point. DPS is assisting with the investigation. And at this point, the investigation is leading to tell us that the suspect did act alone during this heinous crime. Families are being notified, and we are providing services to them as the district should. As far as the rest of the district is concerned, safety measures were taken to make sure that we had a safe release for the rest of the district. For our city of Uvalde, and we had numerous law enforcement officers and agencies that assisted with the safety release for those students. We do want to keep all their families in their prayers. I hope you do as well. And we also want to respect the privacy of the family. The crime scene is still being worked on, and again, we'll notify the parents and the families as soon as we have some news for them. Thank you so much.
We greatly appreciate your understanding and patience with us. Please know at this time, we are only making a statement. We will be releasing more information as the investigation continues. We appreciate your courtesy. At this time, it concludes our press conference. Thank you.
So this is, I'm sorry that didn't go very loud. That was absolutely as loud as it came. And that was just arrived 1 hour ago. I still have it up here. Okay. Then we have 2 hours ago, parents are asked to pick up students at the regular dismissal times at the child's campus. There will be no bus transportation. Officers will be on site to escort students to the parents' cars. Please be patient as lines will be long. Guys, as parents, myself included, how do we fathom what is going on? Can you imagine being a parent, picking up, hoping, I get teary-eyed, hoping to pick up your kid? It's not absolutely guaranteed. And there are parents that they sent their kids off to school this morning for the very last time. For the very last time. And it is very unfortunate. Also, I wanted to show you guys before we get more into this story that if you are in the San Antonio area, they are needing blood donations. Emergency blood donations is being accepted at the how do you pronounce it? I always mess it up. Memorial Hospital. There is going to be, a hospital needs lots of blood anyways, but during an emergency, it's needed now more than ever. Uvalde Memorial Hospital. So we are having an emergency blood drive at Herbie Ham Activity Center's parking lot tomorrow, Wednesday from 9 to 1. You do not need to pre-register. Please participate tomorrow. If you are in the area and can get there or are capable and a healthy individual, it can really save lives. So it's something that's definitely needed. 3 hours ago, the Uvalde Memorial Hospital received 13 children via ambulance or bus for treatment. 2 children were transferred to San Antonio. 1 child is pending transfer. 2 individuals that arrived at UMH were deceased. No details available. Please refrain from coming to the hospital at this time. And we have some video coverage that we will share with you here. I don't know why this press conference is not.
And that's just one way that we can show our solidarity with Uvalde right now. But really, Steve, I think you hit the nail on the head earlier when I heard you say that anything that community needs, we're going to embrace them and try to fill that void, which will be impossible to fill totally. And it is heartwarming to see.
Okay, a little technical trouble. It's not wanting to play the right thing. 2 seconds. I know, Jess. It's very terrible.
First, I want to tell you that what happened in Uvalde
Mr. Abbott,
is a horrific tragedy that cannot be tolerated in the state of Texas. And there is swift action being taken by local law enforcement as well as the Texas Department of Public Safety. They obviously now know who the shooter was, and the shooter is no longer alive. Let me give you some details, and then I'll give you a summation about that. The shooter was Salvador Romas, an 18-year-old male who resided in Uvalde. It's believed that he abandoned his vehicle and entered into the Robb Elementary School in Uvalde with a handgun, and he may have also had a rifle, but that is not yet confirmed according to my most recent report. He shot and killed horrifically, incomprehensibly, 14 students and killed a teacher. Mr. Romas, the shooter, he himself is deceased and is believed that responding officers killed him. It appears that 2 responding officers were struck by rounds, but have no serious injuries. The Uvalde Consolidated Independent School District Police Department is the investigating agency, and we will provide them and the city of Uvalde substantial investigative and patrol assistance. We're in the process of obtaining detailed background information on the subject, his motive, the types of weapons used, the legal authority to possess them, and conduct a comprehensive crime scene investigation and reconstruction, and identify and interview all witnesses and provide victim services and other support as needed. Victor Escalon is the Texas Department of Public Safety South Texas Regional Director. He is on the scene, and everything that can be done will be done. In addition to that, it is being reported that the subject shot his grandmother right before he went into the school. And I have no further information about the connection between those 2 shootings. And the subject is reported to have been a student at Uvalde High School and is a U.S. citizen. Bottom line is this, however, and that is when parents drop their kids off at school, they have every expectation to know that they're going to be able to pick their child up when that school day ends. And there are families who are in mourning right now, and the state of Texas is in mourning with them for the reality that these parents are not going to be able to pick up their children. Our job is multifold. First, to make sure we address exactly what happened at this crime scene, and then second, to make sure we take that information and do everything that is necessary to ensure that crime scenes like this are not going to be repeated in the future, and that we're going to be able to ensure the safety and security of our schools. I'll be happy to take any follow-up question about that they may have. That is the information that I have. It's my understanding that 2 officers were shot, but other than the wounds they sustained, they will not be fatal shots. They were going to.
So that was Governor of Texas. Yeah. So there is some. I think there is like 2 other children that's hanging on right now. There is a senator, I believe, that's kind of making a little bit of what's the word I can use for it? I don't know. I can't even think now, guys, to be honest with you. Viral, I guess you could say. But is this what happens in our country? Is this just another shooting and nothing is done? And I'm asking you, what, in your opinion, and I please be respectful to everyone's opinion in this chat, regardless of whether you agree with it or disagree with it. This is the only way we can have a conversation, is if we understand one another. You know, what is the answer? That's a very, hard question. I obviously get that, and I'm sure it's multifaceted, multi-layered. But, I think it's going to boil down to mental health, um, bullying, and um, even poverty, in my opinion, plays a role. The family system plays a role, in my opinion. Um, and also, we have to have the conversation about guns. I will be the first to tell you I am pro-gun. However, um, I personally don't need a gun to have, just you just need I just need it for protection, right? I don't need something like something of war or anything like that. But there is not, and someone just said it, Sissy. I think that's a very true. The guns are not the only problem. Mental health is almost impossible for some income levels. Yeah. There, you know, one, this is the thing, there is not one simple answer, you know. Absolutely right. We don't need a gun war. We don't need a war on anything. We need to it's multifaceted. And you can't force people to get mental help. Yes. But this is the thing. There's obviously an issue, right? There is an issue. And Jules, I will be the first to tell you yes on that. I agree. I think that's a huge part of it is drugs. Um, and Elizabeth, I completely understand. I understand. Yes, it is. That is true. It isn't guns that kill people; it's people that kill people. But it's. I always say, because I don't think that I actually don't agree with either one of those faceted, honestly, because it's guns and people that kill people. You know what I mean? That's the way I've always thought of it. At least it's very complex, and it's a very sensitive topic. But after Sandy Hook, right? After Sandy Hook, that was the moment I thought, this is it. Something's going to change. And I can't imagine being a parent and every time something like this happens, it's kind of like, how long was Sandy Hook? It's been several years, right? After Sandy Hook, it's like another one happens, and it's thinking, well, so it's just like, I don't know how to think as a parent. It's like, well, my kids, it didn't change for my kids, so, and these parents are trying to find a solution. You know, we have inalienable rights in this country, but you know, where do we, what's the answer? Yeah. Yeah. Amy Danielle, it has a lot to do with depression. Yes. The suspect is dead. Yes, that is correct. Yeah. Absolutely. So, let me close this out, and then I want to, like, I saw a photo and my heart just ripped out. I don't know. But, you know, it's such a very dynamic situation. Oh, I wanted to show you that, you know, they were actually on the House floor today, and the I'll show you. Let's see if it might play. I'll show you some. If not, we'll move on to something else. We have gun laws in place, but they are not being followed. We need to hold our elected officials accountable until they are. I hear you, Sissy. Okay. I respect that. Arm the teachers, harden the school perimeters. Okay, Amy, I hear you. Yes, I think that's something we can all agree on is prayers. That is true, Brianna. You know, now now you can essentially print out a gun, right? And that is also true, ICU. You cannot police all situations the same way. Absolutely. You know, I mean, I understand him, and yeah, you know, we have to train, you know, our children, our teachers, you know, and you know, to not open those doors, you know, and we have to reinforce these doors and everything in these schools, right? That for protection, you know. The age group. Here we go. I'll tell you the age group. Texas school shooting is all too. See, that's a Sandy Hook mom, Erica Lafferty. And it probably has to be the second worst day of their life, every time they get that call that, or, find out the news that the children, that there is another shooting. Okay, I don't want this. Here is a woman outside. Just can't imagine. I'm trying to find the ages. 14 students, gunman who killed 14 students and teacher. It was an 18-year-old. I mean, he was still a kid, himself. So it says that we received 2 patients from the shooting at our Robb Elementary School. One patient is a 66-year-old woman. The other patient is a 10-year-old girl. Both patients are in critical condition. Our hearts are breaking for the people impacted by the senseless tragedy. Our thoughts are with the patients, families, students, teachers, and people of the community. If you are looking for ways to help, please consider donating blood. Your donation can ensure we have supplies immediately available for victims of this tragic shooting and for all patients needed in life-saving blood products. Our donors room is available for the rest of the week. Please schedule online so that we maintain our COVID-19 social distancing protocols. So, it's not saying all of their ages, but in the last 2 weeks, at least 23 people have lost their lives in mass shootings in Buffalo, New York, and Texas. That's incredible. And this was the Senator Chris Murphy delivers emotional plea. If y'all want to watch that, let me know. If not, that's fine too. You guys just let me know if you wanted to watch that. It's supposed to be viral. I don't know if he's a Democrat or Republican. I don't really care as long as he's speaking sense. Yeah. So, okay.
What are we doing? What are we doing? Just days after a shooter walked into a grocery store to gun down African American patrons, we have another Sandy Hook on our hands. What are we doing? There have been more mass shootings than days in the year. Our kids are living in fear every single time they set foot in a classroom because they think they're going to be next. What are we doing? Why do you spend all this time running for the United States Senate? Why do you go through all the hassle of getting this job, of putting yourself in a position of authority? If your answer is that as this slaughter increases, as our kids run for their lives, we do nothing. What are we doing? Why are you here? If not to solve a problem as existential as this. This isn't inevitable. These kids weren't unlucky. This only happens in this country and nowhere else. Nowhere else do little kids go to school thinking that they might be shot that day. Nowhere else do parents have to talk to their kids, as I have had to do, about why they got locked into a bathroom and told to be quiet for 5 minutes just in case a bad man entered that building. Nowhere else does that happen except here in the United States of America, and it is a choice. It is our choice to let it continue. What are we doing?
So, yeah, it's definitely a very sad day. Let's see if there's. Oh, I can't show you that. My stuff. I don't know the answer. I wish I did. I'm trying to get that press conference, but it's. Bear with me 1 second. The thing's not wanting to work. Take away again. Yeah. Absolutely. Okay, guys. Yeah, I mean, you wonder what, I hope that there is some type of study. Do I have a mouse in my room? No, it's my smoke detector. I'm sorry. I thought I hit it. I wonder if there's I hope there's some type of study that's going on with these, shooters that are saying, that wants to study their mind, the psychology of why they want to go and hurt particularly youth, but anyone that just because they're angry, it's I get it, your feelings are hurt, and it's clearly mental, it's evil, or whatever, right? But something is definitely off. Kathy says, I cried and I drove by the supermarket here in Buffalo just a few days ago. Very emotional, I'm sure, Kathy. Yeah. There's a mental crisis in America. There's a mental crisis throughout the world. Libby says it's a sad world when we think teachers need to be packing guns in school. Yeah, of course. And I agree with that. Teachers are teachers. They are not, in my opinion, they're not supposed to be bodyguards. They're supposed to be nurturing, and teaching kids. But as parents, what we're supposed to be doing is making sure our kids have the home that they need, the structure that they need, and we need to be teaching our kids at home, right? It's not all onto the teachers. We have to, if our child is struggling with mental issues, we need to make sure that that is taken care of. Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, I don't think that there's just not one clear answer. I, wish it was just that simple, but it's just not. It's just not. If this thing won't play.
The school, we also heard from the superintendent and also the chief of police from the school district here. And obviously they were overcome with emotion. They couldn't reveal a lot of information, which is unfortunate because we were hoping that when we saw you, Steve, we would be able to talk about or give people an idea as to how many victims there were in this case. We do know from the Associated Press that 21 people have been killed, 18 of them children, 3 of them adults. But what we were hoping to find out also is the number of people who have been injured. A number of people have been sent to hospitals in the area, one hospital in Uvalde, another hospital in San Antonio. And so we don't have an update there as to how many people exactly have been injured by this. But I want to go back to this being a tight-knit community because when you're driving in through Uvalde, you definitely get the sense that this is a small city. The county of Uvalde has 26,000 people. 16,000 of those people live in the city of Uvalde. And when it comes to this particular school district, 4,000 students in total in 9 schools are in the school district, and almost 600 students went to go to Robb Elementary School. And so you can imagine the angst that these parents feel upon finding out that their children have been through something awful, so traumatic. Robb Elementary has students in the second, 3rd, and 4th graders. And I just mentioned there are 600 students total. That would mean that those children range in age from 7 to 10 years old. Just think about that for a moment. If you're a parent hearing that, you just can't help but feel awful because this is something that unfortunately didn't happen often. But I can tell you from my experience that there are a lot of parallels between this story, between what happened here today and the shooting at Sandy Hook Elementary. I was there as a younger reporter in Connecticut when that shooting happened, and that feeling of angst is still the same in this community as it was in the community of Newtown when that shooting happened, Steve.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, Stephanie, because I wanted to talk to you about that a little bit. I mean, to put this in historic context, it's the worst school shooting since Columbine. It's the worst elementary school shooting since Sandy Hook. I talked to Lee Waldman earlier, one of our reporters on the scene, about being at Sutherland Springs right after it happened and just how quiet it was. You mentioned angst. I'm sure that's part of it too, but there's also just a huge feeling of loss, of mourning that I felt in Sutherland Springs and that I'm guessing they're feeling tonight in Uvalde.
Yeah, but here's the thing, Steve, that this hasn't sunken in for a lot of the people here, right? It takes a while. And the reason I'm bringing that up is because we know now at least 18 children, 3 adults were killed, but we don't have their names. We don't know exactly who they were. So you know that people are slowly but surely finding out who were relatives of the people who passed away, that their loved ones are in fact never coming home. And you can imagine what a toll that takes on people who are hearing that. And so when we heard from officials here speaking just a moment ago, what they said was that their first priority is to notify the families who have been affected. That's their first priority. They also told us that they're not going to have any more news conferences today. So it's likely that we're not going to find out a lot of information from the police department or other officials until at least tomorrow. They may be trying to do that to give the families some time to just get themselves a little bit together, because you know that this is the hardest day of their lives as they try to process what just happened here.
It's unthinkable for so many people that are going through what they're going through in Uvalde today.
And Stephanie, I'm just curious if, since you covered what happened in Sandy Hook, and there will be and already have been so many parallels drawn between that tragedy and now this one, can you give us any insight maybe in how that investigation played out in the days following? Maybe some things that people can look towards as we wait for more information and more confirmation to answers that we don't have right now.
Right. Well, I'm really glad that you asked me that question, because obviously there is a process when you go through something like this, and nobody is really prepared to handle all of the information really that comes in when you have something like this happen. So in the Sandy Hook situation, there were 26 victims total, 20 children, 6 adults. That we found out relatively soon, same as we did here. But the whole thing is, they did the same thing with the families. First, they tried to notify the families who were affected by these deaths. That's the priority, of course, with law enforcement. They want to make sure that those families know well before the media or anybody else knows about this, just to give them time to process, to grieve. Now, we expect this to take just a few days to find out more. I would expect us to find out the names of some of those who were killed by tomorrow. But you know that this is a huge undertaking here. You have the FBI, DPS, Texas Rangers, a number of law enforcement agencies here trying to find out more information. Also, a motive for why this happened. We found out the name of the shooter. We know that he's an 18-year-old local. I'm not going to mention his name, but we are aware of those details. We also know that he's been deceased. The other thing that I do want to mention that police did make crystal clear is that they are not actively looking for anybody else in this. They do believe that the shooter, that they suspected this, acted alone. So you can be sure that we're going to continue to gather information and give you more information, of course, as it becomes available. But you can expect things to be a lot quieter during today. We also expect a lot of people to be announcing church services to help those who are in mourning.
Yeah, and actually, thank you, Stephanie. I bet we actually have the first victim that's been identified. And I really want to focus on the people that we've lost more than this young man who acted in such an evil way. So we're going to put up a picture of one of the teachers that was killed today. Her name is Eva Morales. She's a 4th grade teacher at Robb Elementary. This is just into the KSAT newsroom. This is a photo from her aunt, Lydia Martinez Delgado, a picture of Eva Morales, a 4th grade teacher at Robb Elementary, who we have confirmed was one of the first victims of the Uvalde school massacre.
And she would be one of the 3 adults that we know lost their life today in this tragedy. We also know 18 children. If you're tuning in just now and maybe you saw earlier reports of a different number, that number has now increased. So we know that Eva Morales is now one of 21 people who were shot and killed today. 18 children at Robb Elementary School, a school for 2nd through 4th graders. And Eva Morales was a 4th grade teacher, and she is the first person whose name that we have learned among those victims. And we did hear from the school police chief. We also heard from the superintendent there talking about the effort to get information first and foremost to those families who were affected by all of this. We also know that a member of law enforcement, a member of Border Patrol, was wounded in this shooting today. And at last check, we understand that that officer was in good condition. We're not sure where he or she is being treated at this point, but that person was said to be in good condition at that time.
I want to read her profile. This is from the Uvalde Community Independent School District. This is the profile of Eva Morales. She writes, "Welcome to 4th grade. She was an educator for 17 years, co-teaching for 5 years. She has a supportive, fun, and loving family, which includes a UCISD officer, a college graduate, 3 furry friends. She loves running, hiking, and now you just might see me riding a bike." That was the profile on their website of Eva Morales. Putting a face behind one of these victims. And that's what we're going to try to do over the next, certainly, few hours and few days. We'll be right back.
All right, we are continuing to wait to hear.
We're just waiting for the president?
We are going to wait
Okay.
to hear from President Joe Biden, who is expected to address the nation about what has happened here today, because certainly everyone in this country is now watching South Texas, watching this town of Uvalde, to learn more information. And, you know, if you saw some of the press conference earlier, while it was very brief, we didn't have a chance to ask a lot of questions. But there are so many moving parts in an investigation like this. And Steve, you're right. The focus is now on people in this community. And I know that our reporters, Lee Waldman, Garrett Berger, who were there, Stefania Jimenez as well, are talking to those folks, talking to the people who were in this community who now are dealing with grief. And many of them perhaps tomorrow could find some help at the Civic Center there, because we did hear the superintendent say that starting at 10 a.m. tomorrow, there are going to be grief counselors on hand at the Civic Center for anyone in that community who needs someone to talk to, who needs some help to navigate through this. At 8 a.m. prior to that, there was going to be help there in the same form for grief counselors and support for staff at Robb Elementary School. But this is affecting this town and communities surrounding it, this entire state. We heard from the governor earlier. He really was, you know, the first information we were getting in terms of confirmation on details. He was in Abilene earlier today. I would imagine that his schedule is now going to include a visit to Uvalde.
Yeah.
As all of this investigation unfolds.
And just to give you an update, yes, we are waiting for the president to address the nation. That should happen momentarily. I just think it's so important that we focus on the people that are lost. And that's why I wanted to read that. Once I looked up her profile on the Uvalde School District website, I wanted to read more about her, because I want the focus to be on the victims. And I mean, I'm making a pledge here, as when we find out more information about each of these victims, we're going to bring it to you, and we're going to tell you what kind of person they were, what kind of kid they were, what kind of human they were, and what was lost today. Our Lee Waldman is out, and she's been doing a terrific job of not only covering the facts of exactly what is happening, but Lee, I also want to thank you for covering this with empathy for exactly what is going on in Uvalde and for the people who are getting the worst news of their lives today. Thank you so much for that. I'm proud that you're part of the KSAT team, and talk a little bit about what's happening right now.
Well, Steve, that really did mean a lot to me, so thank you for that. So we're back here at the Civic Center now. We actually were just up the road at a church where they were hosting one of many prayer vigils this evening, just wanting the community to wrap their arms around each other during this tragic time. But I'm going to move out of the way so you can see what we're seeing behind us. And it's a lot of families who are still either waiting on information about their children, or families who are here who have already heard some tragic news about their children. But the ones who are sitting outside here, a lot of those people, they're just waiting. They have questions. Where's my child? What happened to my child? Where is my loved one? They're desperate for those answers to those questions, and they deserve those answers. And we know that they're trying to be as patient as they can during this time. But I imagine at this point, it's gut-wrenching not to know what they need to know at this point. We also want to talk about, because we've talked about the trauma from an event like this, not just for the people who are inside the school, not just for the families who are here, but for the community as a whole, and for everyone here who is watching, whose heart is breaking at home watching this. There are several counseling opportunities. We know they're going to be happening here at this Civic Center. And we're going to have the address posted online and on social media as well. But there is going to be grief counseling for staff at the Robb Elementary School starting at 8 a.m. tomorrow. It's going to be very, very key. And then at 10 a.m., it's going to be grief counseling for the community as a whole. During this time, it is so, so important to reach out and ask for help when you need it. If you don't think you need it, still ask for help anyway. So those grief counseling opportunities, those are going to be here. That was announced by the Uvalde CISD superintendent. So we heard that just a few moments ago, but that is going to be available 8 a.m. here starting for staff members of Robb Elementary, and then at 10 a.m. for the rest of the community here.
All right, Lee, you know, we've talked all afternoon to you as well as everyone watching about the importance of recognizing that there is help out there to help all of us navigate through this, but especially those communities right there in Uvalde. And it looks like the crowd behind you has grown. And I would imagine that as people, yes, want more information, they probably just want to be together there in Uvalde this evening. So thank you once again for this live report, and I'm sure we'll hear from you momentarily as we get more information. We do have a statement from one of the victims that has now been identified. I believe it is the fourth grade teacher whose profile that we read a few minutes ago, Eva Morales. This is a statement from her aunt. My niece, Eva Morales, approximately 17 years, a teacher for UCISD, along with another teacher and 18 children, lost their lives to a senseless, tragic shooting.
I'm furious that these shootings continue. These children are innocent. Rifles should not be easily available to all. This is my hometown, a small community of less than 20,000. I never imagined this would happen, especially to loved ones. Not all the facts have been released yet. All we can do is pray hard for our country, state, and schools, and especially the families of all. That is Lydia Martinez Delgado, the victim's aunt, her niece, Eva Morales, a fourth grade teacher at Robb Elementary, one of those that was killed. Again, 18 students, 3 adults. Reaction coming in from around our community and around the country. Actually, the Golden State Warriors are playing tonight, and former Spur, Bull, Trailblazer Steve Kerr is the head coach of the Golden State Warriors. He did not talk basketball tonight. He talked about what happened in Uvalde. Here's what he had to say.
Since we left shoot around, 14 children were killed 400 miles from here, and a teacher. And in the last 10 days, we've had elderly Black people killed in a supermarket in Buffalo. We've had Asian churchgoers killed in Southern California. And now we have children murdered at school. When are we going to do something? I'm tired. I'm so tired of getting up here and offering condolences to the devastated families that are out there. I'm so tired of I'm tired of the moments of silence. Enough. There's 50 senators right now who refuse to vote on H.R. 8, which is a background check rule that the House passed a couple of years ago. It's been sitting there for 2 years. And there's a reason they won't vote on it, to hold on to power. So I ask you, Mitch McConnell, I ask all of you senators who refuse to do anything about the violence and school shootings and supermarket shootings, I ask you, are you going to put your own desire for power ahead of the lives of our children and our elderly and our churchgoers? Because that's what it looks like. It's what we do every week. So I'm fed up. I've had enough. We're going to play the game tonight, but I want every person here, every person listening to this to think about your own child or grandchild or mother or father or sister, brother. How would you feel if this happened to you today? We can't get numb to this. We can't sit here and just read about it and go, well, let's have a moment of silence. Yeah, go Dubs, you know. Come on, Mavs, let's go. That's what we're going to do. We're going to go play a basketball game. And 50 senators in Washington are going to hold us hostage. Do you realize that 90% of Americans, regardless of political party, want background check, universal background check? 90% of us, we are being held hostage by 50 senators in Washington who refuse to even put it to a vote, despite what we, the American people, want. They won't vote on it because they want to hold on to their own power. It's pathetic. I've had enough.
That was it. That was the entire pregame post conference from Golden State Warriors head coach Steve Kerr talking about gun violence and what we have seen just over the last 10 days in this country, let alone what happened today. And again, we don't know how this guy got the gun. We don't know where he got them. We don't know even the guns that he used. We don't know any of that. But emotion there from Steve Kerr.
But he's visibly angry, and I think that that is an emotion that a lot of people of all the array of feelings that we all have today about what has happened, that's one of them that's at front and center for a lot of people, because it keeps happening and it happens again. And just like you said, you see the outpouring of support, and sometimes the names of the people involved, we move on and we move to the next tragedy.
Yeah.
So that's why it's important to talk about people like Eva Morales.
And that's why I'm pledging that when we find out more information, when we find out more of these victims' names, we are going to give you their names, as much as we know about their background, as much as we know about who they were as a human being. And you know, even the aunt of the 4th grade teacher that we know that was killed, Miss Morales, Eva Morales, saying she could not believe that this would happen in her own hometown.
I think we all have a right to be angry, and that is one of the emotions that will be processed. But, you know, it may seem a little odd for us to play the pregame press conference for, you know, from an NBA coach to weigh in on this. But I think it goes to show how this is affecting every corner of this country, and not just here in Texas. So I don't want us to move on to the next time.
Yes.
And forget what happened here today and the way that we all feel about it.
We cannot become numb to this. This is not a political issue. These are human lives that were lost. We should at least give them the respect of talking about
children,
what happened, who they were, the lives they lived.
Yeah.
18 children, exactly.
Let's go back to our Stephania Jimenez, who is in Uvalde. Steph, you're there at the Fairplex, where we know that press conference, however brief, wrapped up from officials within the Uvalde School District. What are you hearing now?
So now all we know is that we're not going to find out any more information from officials until the rest of the night. And they're doing this because they say, obviously, the investigation is still continuing. There's still a lot of information that they're trying to sort through. I mean, this is a huge undertaking. The FBI's here. We have the Texas Rangers. We have DPS. We even have Border Patrol here helping in this investigation because, as I mentioned before, at Uvalde, it's a small city, just a city of 16,000 people. So you would imagine that they just don't have the resources on their own to cover something like this. And that's why you have people coming in from all over law enforcement agencies to help in this investigation. But I want to go back to something that you said, Myra, because, you know, we're also online. It's amazing, the outpouring of support, how people feel helpless, but they want to do something about it. And so they're going to their, blood centers to donate blood because they feel like that's one thing they could do to help the victims. And we do want to focus on the victims as much as we can, although we don't have an exact idea as to how many people are in the hospital right now because officials haven't released that information. People want to do something, but they're also angry. And, when you look online, people are saying really targeting politicians and saying, stop giving me thoughts and prayers. I'm tired of thoughts and prayers when you have the ability to actually do something about this. So people obviously are upset by what happened, and their sense of security has been taken from them. When we talk about these 18 children, you have to remember they were probably really excited that this was the last week of school. You remember what that was like. Things definitely slowed down in your classes. You were having fun with your classmates, making summer plans with your families. And now you're thinking 21 families will never be the same again, because this is the worst day of their lives. They just got the worst bit of information. But we are still trying to find out more information, as you're saying, and we're hoping that we'll hear from the President Joe Biden, in just a few minutes. Myra, Steve?
Yeah, thank you, Stephanie. We're expecting to hear from the president around 7:30 tonight. San Antonio is playing a role in all this, and I said one of the things that's touched me the most, other than reading that profile of the teacher that was killed in all this, is the outpouring of support from the community, from San Antonio, from Uvalde, from South Texas. The fact that there are people lined up outside the Blood and Tissue Center right now to give blood because they know it is needed in Uvalde. They know that they've already sent at least 15 units of O blood to Uvalde Memorial Hospital because they need it for some of the victims that are there. There are also some of the victims that are in our own community.
Tim Gerber is actually out at University Hospital where he's been gathering information all afternoon, Tim. And I believe last time we talked to you, there was word that University was receiving more victims from Uvalde. Is that right?
Yeah, the last update I had from Elizabeth Allen here at University Hospital was that they were expecting 2 more patients to arrive here from Uvalde. We did not see any helicopters come in after she made that announcement to us. It's possible that they arrived here earlier. We did see a lot of helicopter traffic landing on top of the roof here at the parking garage at University Hospital throughout the day. So it's really difficult to know if that was regular traffic, but it did seem like there was an awful lot of helicopters coming in and out of here. So it may turn out to be that there's more victims here. And I think, yes, there's been so much death today, and that cannot be lost on anyone. 18 kids, 3 adults. But there are still people in hospitals tonight, including right here in San Antonio, that are still fighting for their lives. Here at San Antonio, we do know there is a 66-year-old woman who was at that school today. She is in critical condition, fighting for her life, and she is joined by a little 10-year-old girl who was a student at that school and was shot today. She is also in critical condition, fighting for her life. And the best thing that we can do for those who are in those hospitals tonight, recovering from their wounds, hoping that they survive this horrible incident, is to get out there and give blood. They need it. And it's about the only thing we can do for those who are still with us.
Very well put, Tim.
Absolutely.
We also have to think about those who are fighting for their lives tonight. Some of them just down the street from us at University Hospital. I like the way you put that. Thank you, Tim.
And if you want information, it's on our website, ksat.com. You can find out how you can donate, whether it's at University Hospital, the South Texas Blood and Tissue Center. There may be another donation site that is in your area that you can access. So look for our website for that info.
You may not be able to get in tonight. A lot of the places are closing for the night, but please, the need does not stop at the end of today. It's going to continue to go throughout the next few days. So please give blood. That's a way to help. Thoughts and prayers, absolutely, but take action as well. And we're waiting for the president to speak from the White House. We have got a number of statements from local officials as well. This is from Bexar County Judge Nelson Wolf. Quote, "It is with profound grief and broken hearts that we learn about the news coming our way this afternoon. We stand united with the community in Uvalde and offer our assistance. We also mourn with them over the lives of those children and adults lost to violence. Bexar County is sending personnel and material from the Office of Emergency Management, the Medical Examiner's Office, the Sheriff's Office, and University Hospitals to support the ongoing operation." End quote.
Meantime, we also have a statement from Mayor Ron Nirenberg. Uvalde is experiencing the sickening aftermath of a horrific mass shooting. At least 14 children, now we know the number is 18, but at this statement, he said at least 14 children and a teacher are gone. Pray for the lost, their families, and Uvalde. San Antonio has sent mass casualty resources to the region and will do all we can to help our neighbors heal.
The mayor very emotional at 6:30 when we talked to him live. The official statement sent from Governor Greg Abbott's office, quote, "Texans across the state are grieving for the victims of this senseless crime and for the community of Uvalde. Cecilia and I mourn this horrific loss, and we urge all Texans to come together to show our unwavering support to all who are suffering. We thank the courageous
just one. I don't know what happened. there is, Libby was talking about it here. A 10-year-old, a dad searching for his 10-year-old daughter at a funeral home after Texas shooting. I want to play this for you guys. Thank you, Kristen. I do appreciate your membership. Thank you very much. And we'll go back to that in just a moment.
As we were walking right up to the school, as you can see, it's right behind me. We've spoken with several family members, several parents, each one of them telling us that the child they cannot find at the Civic Center, where evacuations were happening, at the hospitals nearby and in San Antonio. The children's ages that are still missing are 10 years old, which puts them right around 4th grade. Now, again, school district officials are not releasing a whole lot of information at this time, but this is information we are getting directly from parents. These are parents we saw running to the school to try and find their kids. One father I spoke with, as you just mentioned, not more than about 15 minutes ago, stopped me in the street and he asked me if I knew where the funeral home was. That funeral home is about 4 blocks away from us down this street. And how old is your?
10. Her name is McKenna.
How long you been looking for her today?
Since it happened.
What are you worried about right now?
She may not be alive.
Have you heard anything?
Nothing. Don't know where, other than she's not in San Antonio.
Do you mind me asking, when you first walked out to me, what did you ask me?
If we could get to the funeral home.
Why would you ask me that?
Because we can't find my daughter.
What does this say about where we are right now? I mean, this is a small town, man.
Pretty sad. Really sad. I don't know what this world's coming to.
That's absolutely terrible.
And it's been a busy week for you, John Schwinneker, already.
It has, and tomorrow's going to be a cooler day across the region. We'll talk about those cool temps in just a moment. Good evening to you.
Sorry about that. I felt so bad for that dad, but I may be a little sensitive right now, but I didn't feel that the reporter was that sensitive with the dad. I could be wrong on that. I don't know. Maybe that's just my feelings. Hold on, I'm getting something in. Okay. Yeah, I thought so, but she just seemed a little bit she just seemed a little off to me or something to that effect. I don't know, maybe. I'm glad I'm not the only one that thought that though. Okay, we'll go back to this in just a second. I'm trying to get it to play, but we'll see if we can. If not, yeah, I mean, you lose your child for 5 seconds and it's scary, right? Let alone, you don't know where your child is. And, you know, he was very patient with that reporter, in my opinion, because I don't think I would have been as patient, to be honest with you. It's really just sickening. All right, let's see here. Here we go. Maybe WO.
First,
Okay. There is photos of the guy. If I don't know if I want to show him or not, to be honest with you. I'm trying to play the live coverage again. I don't know if the feed
Greater during Columbine, and so
go.
the impact it has on you as a child, simply to be locked down for an Antonio, she died in the Aurora Theater shooting, and so these places that we often think are supposed to be safe, places like an elementary school or a theater. You know, this is the moment that we're in. And so as we hear President Biden address the nation, no doubt he will bring up shootings like Columbine, like Parkland, like we're seeing here unfolding in Uvalde.
Are you getting the sense that people are a little nuts?
Sorry, I didn't.
Let me ask you a question, Simone. Are you getting the sense that this is,
Yeah.
you're so much in the thick of this that people are kind of numb right now? I'm talking about yourself included, that maybe it's not going to really fully hit you until you go to bed tonight, just the severity and the immense nature of, you know, what's happening out there where you are standing right now?
You know, when it hit me personally, and as I was, I think when it hit a lot of people who, again, just neighbors that I'm standing by, that I'm watching, when the hearses drove by, the whole crowd went silent. Everyone stopped talking, and to see two hearses go by, it really drives the point home of this is real. This took place, and this is something that is unfolding before our eyes. And to think, 18 children, second, third, fourth graders, it is almost impossible to wrap your mind around the horror that they must have been feeling in those hallways and what was taking place. I think of the lieutenant here talking about first responders in those moments, just trying to serve, trying to get these victims help, but you're staring at children and this horrific scene. I do believe we're tossing to a press conference now. Let's see if that's the case. Oh, Robert, sorry, back to you.
Well, let me hold you there for a second. I don't know if we have the ability. Let me ask you, our producer, are we tossing to the news conference with the president? Okay. Well, am I allowed to ask a question one more time of Simone? All right. No, that's all right. We were looking at that aerial footage. Actually, if we were able to pull that aerial footage back up, I was actually going to mention that we were looking at video of the scene over Robb Elementary earlier, and the video at one point, there we go. Okay, so there are the ambulances who responded. And if this video plays out long enough, we're going to see the truck of the suspected shooter. It crashes out into a drainage ditch about a football field's length away from the elementary school. When Simone was able to interview that lieutenant with the Texas Department of Public Safety, he informed her that they received a call about a man or a young teenager who shot his grandmother and then crashed out his vehicle by the elementary school. That was the initial phone call, because earlier at around 3:30, 4 o'clock this afternoon, when we were showing this aerial footage of the truck crashed out in the drainage ditch, we didn't fully understand the sequence of events in terms of, was there some sort of chase? Why did he have all that front end damage? Why did he crash in a drainage ditch? What was the sense of urgency there? We're learning more now. And Simone, I don't know if Simone can hear me, but could you kind of give our viewers a sense of how that lieutenant described their understanding of what took place when the shooter crashes out and runs into the school?
Yeah, and so, you know, that was exactly, okay, excuse me, Robert, we have the president walking out, so let's go ahead and see if we can listen into President Biden on the podium. We'll bring you more information here from Uvalde soon.
I'd hoped when I became president, I would not have to do this again. Another massacre, Uvalde, Texas, an elementary school. Beautiful, innocent, second, third, fourth graders. And how many scores of little children who witnessed what happened see their friends die as if they're on a battlefield, for God's sake. They'll live with it the rest of their lives. There's a lot we don't know yet. There's a lot we do know. The parents who will never see their child again, never have them jump in bed and cuddle with them. Parents will never be the same. To lose a child is like having a piece of your soul ripped away. There's a hollowness in your chest. You feel like you're being sucked into it and never going to be able to get out. Suffocating. It's never quite the same. It's the feeling shared by the siblings and the grandparents and the family members and the community that's left behind. Scripture says, Jill and I have talked about this in different contexts, another context. The Lord is near to the brokenhearted and saves the crushed in spirit. So many crushed spirits. So tonight, I ask the nation to pray for them, give the parents and siblings the strength in the darkness they feel right now. As a nation, we have to ask, when in God's name are we going to stand up to the gun lobby? When in God's name we do what we all know in our gut needs to be done? It's been 3,448 days, 10 years since I stood up at a high school in Connecticut, a grade school in Connecticut, where another gunman massacred 26 people, including 20 first graders at Sandy Hook Elementary School. Since then, there have been over 900 incidents of gunfires reported on school grounds. Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland, Florida. Santa Fe High School in Texas. Oxford High School in Michigan. The list goes on, and the list grows when it includes mass shootings at places like movie theaters, houses of worship, as we saw just 10 days ago at a grocery store in Buffalo, New York. I am sick and tired of it. We have to act. And don't tell me we can't have an impact on this carnage. I spent my career as a senator and a vice president working to pass common sense gun laws. We can and won't prevent every tragedy, but we know they work and have positive impact. When we passed the assault weapons ban, mass shootings went down. When the law expired, mass shootings tripled. The idea that an 18-year-old kid can walk into a gun store and buy 2 assault weapons is just wrong. What in God's name do you need an assault weapon for except to kill someone? Deer aren't running through the forest with Kevlar vests on, for God's sake. It's just sick. And the gun manufacturers have spent 2 decades aggressively marketing assault weapons, which make them the most and largest profit. For God's sake, we have to have the courage to stand up to the industry. Here's what else I know. Most Americans support common sense laws, common sense gun laws. I just got off a trip from Asia, meeting with Asian leaders. And I learned of this while I was on the aircraft. And what struck me on that 17-hour flight, what struck me was these kinds of mass shootings rarely happen anywhere else in the world. Why? They have mental health problems. They have domestic disputes in other countries. They have people who are lost. But these kinds of mass shootings never happen with the kind of frequency they happen in America. Why? Why are we willing to live with this carnage? Why do we keep letting this happen? Where in God's name is our backbone to have the courage to deal with it and stand up to the lobbies? It's a time to turn this pain into action for every parent, for every citizen in this country. We have to make it clear to every elected official in this country. It's time to act. It's time for those who obstruct or delay or block the common sense gun laws. We need to let you know that we will not forget. We can do so much more. We have to do more. Our prayer tonight is for those parents lying in bed and trying to figure out, will I be able to sleep again? What do I say to my other children? What happens tomorrow? May God bless the loss of innocent life on this sad day. And may the Lord be near the brokenhearted and save those crushed in spirit, because they're going to need a lot of help and a lot of our prayers. God love you.
Will you go to Texas, sir? Sir, will you go to Texas?
Okay, I can't promise. He said he won't, not yet. Right now? We were just listening into President Joe Biden. He was saying to lose a child is like having a piece of your soul ripped away. And he's asked the nation to pray for the families. In fact, he said as a nation, we have to ask, when are we going to stand up for gun lobbies? We did anticipate him making some sort of comment in regard to gun control. And so he did that. He did draw comparisons to Sandy Hook, in addition to the grocery store massacre in Buffalo that happened recently. We heard the president calling for action, courage to stand up to what he calls the gun industry. And he says these kinds of mass shootings rarely happen anywhere else in the globe. And so he was making all of those points tonight as, the flags at the White House, the flags across the nation are at half staff. Robert, I'm going to send it back to you in the studio.
Simone D'Alba, thank you so much for your coverage this evening. We're going to step away for a bit, send it back to national programming, and come back here at 10 o'clock tonight with the very latest from Uvalde, 75 miles to the west of San Antonio, where 18 elementary school children were shot to death today. For all of us here at News 4, I'm Robert Price. Stay safe. Good night for now.
My mouse wasn't wanting to work. I'm so sorry. So sorry about that. Okay. I thought I clicked it like 3 times. All right. So, yeah, Miss Eve, who was, thank you, Vet Girl. Appreciate it. I got it. I'm trying to find my spot here. It's just a really crazy world right now, what we are going through, what we have been through the last several years, from just school, shootings, COVID, it's just been a lot on the world, the country, and now we have monkeypox, right? And it just seems like it's always been something the last few years. Robb Elementary School here. I'll show it to you here on Google Maps. See how far it is outside of see the larger map. Will be the larger map here. So this is the school, it just looks like a very small, all-American school, right? But there was at least 18, and we don't even know how many's injured yet, right? So it's just, where's the damn map? Okay, there it is. It's just down a, it's like in a neighborhood community, very small elementary school. Parents dropped their children off here today. The last week of school. I was with my kids today at field day. I dropped them off this morning and I went to have lunch with them, and then they had field day. And my heart completely hurts for actually, Heather, now it is 18 children dead, 3 adults dead, 18 children ages 7 to 10 years old, and 3 adults. A total of 21. So, yes, my phone is going off like 1,000 times. Sorry. But, I don't know what's the, how did this kid get in? Does anybody know? I heard that he jumped a fence, but, that's still being debated. Did he live in the neighborhood? the person who did this was just, what does this say? Robb Elementary School, together we rise. It's terrible. Here is the office. You know, a lot of times, hold on, let me shut this phone off. If somebody messaged, I don't know. You know, if a lot of times they will start in the office, it's just a tiny, tiny little school. Probably you know, it just looks like a little community school for that matter. I agree. Let's be kind to one another. Let's unite in these times. Yeah. No, from what I understand, he did make it inside of the building. Yeah, I just turned the volume down, Tracy. Thank you. May the families be surrounded with love and unity. Everyone over there needs support. These poor babies, innocent families. God bless you all. Many prayers from Australia. Thank you, Pam O'Connor. That's a very nice comment. He was taken out by the police. I can... If you guys... it's totally up to you guys if y'all want to see the 18-year-old who did this, the bastard who extinguished the lives. Actually, I don't really want to show him, to be honest with you. I think we should just honor the yeah, it's my smoke detector. I need to fix it. So, yeah. Okay, guys. Let me see if anything else is coming in here about this, and if there is, then we'll play it here. If not, see if there's a new feed. It's just heart-wrenching. I wonder if that one guy found his daughter. As of 2 hours ago, he had not found his daughter. Every child with the facility that survived will have lives changed too. Absolutely. Every single child every single life that was there that day, and every parent and every sibling who, you know, wasn't even there, the whole community will be changed absolutely forever. You know, how you can't unring a bell, as they say. It just doesn't work, you know. What's done is done, and it can never, ever, ever be erased. And that's what makes it so tragic. One second. What's that? If this feed will work, it's the feed's not wanting to work, so let me try one more thing. Let's see here. This will work. Gosh, that's horrible. He can. Yeah, there is a guy that that he is missing his 10-year-old kid. They cannot find the child allegedly at school, so he went to the funeral home. What do you do in a moment like this? I mean, I don't have an answer for that. So, yes. So this feed is not working, guys. What I'm going to do is it's 9:06. I'm going to try to come back at about 11 o'clock and continue the other two stories that I want to get to. 27 school shootings this year. That's absolutely insane. I do want to talk about a Minnesota mom accused of shooting a 6-year-old son several times, leaving body in the trunk, and a Kentucky woman who pleads guilty in putting her newborn baby in a trash bag, tossing the baby over a banister. So I need to do a couple things. This honestly has just has wiped me completely out, to be honest with you. But I will I need to fix some stuff. So yeah. All right. Thank you all for being here. Pray for these families. God bless each and every one of you. We are stronger together as one. And that's all I'm going to say. We're all Americans at the end of the day. And we're all there for we are all here for the kids and the victims. And that is the only thing I care about. That's it. I don't care. I don't care about politics in this situation. I really don't care about it. And that's my personal opinion. Because we just need to care about victims right now. I love you all. Even if you don't love me, I still love you. There's nothing you can do about it. Sorry, just the way it is. I love you all. I really do. I appreciate you. Angel, I'm so sorry you feel bullied. If you'd like to email me, I will be happy to talk to you. I don't know what's happening, but being bullied is not a thing that we tolerate in here. So you are absolutely willing to email me. I would appreciate talking to you for sure. Love you all. Thank you. God bless you all. Have a good night. Maybe back at 11 o'clock because I really want to get these two stories out. Okay.